And at 17, when she was still quite young, she was so excited about community leadership that she decided to promote and DJ her own block parties. People actually came out. Actually, a lot of people came out, including the police. They weren't as impressed. Her sense of passion started early. Obviously, there's no lack of personality with Trisha. And in Trisha's world, food plus wine equals happiness. After all, she's Italian. Trisha is a passion igniter. A passion igniter. Apparently, this does not mean she sells adult novelty toys. The question comes up frequently, and she's currently looking into the feasibility of that revenue stream. She sounds like a financial planner. She says that joking, of course. However, Trisha, have you heard about Grace and Frankie and their vibrant business? You might want to consider merging your passion igniter business with their vibrant business. Apparently, it's the most successful on Netflix so far. You don't know about it. You gotta look into that. Please join me in showing Trisha our magnetic personalities. Everybody stand up and join me in giving our keynote speaker the most cordial welcome.
I love it. Standing ovation before I even said a word. That's fantastic. Hey, before we get rolling, Kevin and Malcolm. I got that right? There we go. Trevor, sorry, I don't have Kevin, Trevor, get that mixed up all the time. Trevor, can you two just stand up for a sec? How much courage does it take to do a 45-minute presentation in front of professionals at an industry you're just entering? I mean, let's hear another round of applause. I'm just super impressed with you guys, so I would have puked. So that's pretty cool. Congratulations. I'm so excited to be here, as every speaker says when they get on stage, but truly I'm very humbled and grateful because I get to spend time with you. And I want to start off today with some truth that we all know, but sometimes we forget. And it is this. We are all going to die. I mean, the only guarantee that any speaker can give to you is that in 200 years, every single one of us in this room is going to be dead. You're thinking, wow, she's motivational. Start this off with a good foot, right? But if you flip that coin, I guess I should start this. If you flip that coin, as we always should, when we're dealing with ourselves and our clients and the people we work with, the other side of that coin is what? That we are alive. We are in this room right now living. But to what extent are you living? And that's where I like to come in and play. Is that, are we living with consciousness, with intention? Are we having adventures? How many of you are having daily fun? Let's see the hands go up. Yes, okay. Because at least we need more fun in our daily grind, I think. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I like to think of living that I don't want to just be successful. I mean, I know we have many determined and very professional and driven people in this room, for sure. I don't want to just be successful. I want to live a deeply satisfying life experience. And I think that is very different than just being successful. So, are you living a deeply satisfying life experience? And that's where I want to come in today to help you do that, but also to help the people we work with to do the same thing. So we'll be talking a little bit about practice management and working with our teams. How's that sound? Does it sound good? Awesome. You may notice on your table that you have some, where did it go? I just had it. Did I drop it? Pipe cleaner? Okay, so for those of you who are, listening to someone talk can be boring sometimes. I hope it's not, but if you are more tactile, make me something amazing with your pipe cleaner. I have seen the most incredible little figurines from a little piece of pipe cleaner. So the challenge is on while you're listening and engaging and playing with me. That sounds terrible, but you know what I mean? You got some pipe cleaner to play with there too. One of the things that I think of myself as is a curator of wisdom. So I get to go around to conferences like this in many different industries and events, and I basically gather like a little swirl, all kinds of wisdom, and then I package it back up and I give it back to you as I go through and do my presentations. And I've received so many wonderful, beautiful pieces of wisdom. I'm going to share a couple of them with you right now. How about this? Don't let other people's choices be your excuses. That's good, right? You know you're on the right track when you become uninterested in looking back. I like this one. I don't have a dirty mind. I have a sexy imagination. If it doesn't open, it is not your door. A lot of things have broken my heart, but have fixed my vision. If a cookie falls on the floor, you pick it up. Yes. But that's a squat, right? I like to think so. One of the weirdest things about being an adult, I think this one's from Facebook, is having a favorite stovetop burner that nobody talks about it. How many of you in this room have a favorite stovetop burner? Right? Humans. Some of you are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. This is strange. And finally, I love this piece of wisdom as well. You can't say happiness without saying penis. Give it a try. Say happiness to your neighbor. Really, give it a try. Come on, say. Happiness, right? You will never think of happiness the same way again. I do apologize for that. My favorite people are the ones who are still saying happiness. That's right. One of the most profound pieces of wisdom I ever received was at an event like this. I had finished speaking, I was making some tea in between sessions. And this is what I love about these kind of conferences, is you get together with industry professionals, you hear from amazing speakers who have all kinds of information to share, but often it's what you hear amongst each other, that shared connection, that really is what resonates and sticks with you. Am I right? You had that experience? So I was making some tea in between sessions, and this lady walked up to me and she said, Trisha, I have to talk to you, I have to share you my story. And she began to kind of pour out her life story. And it was so tragic. And it was so devastating. Even to hear it, my mouth was like open the entire time. I couldn't believe what I was listening to. And as she stirred her tea, she was so calm and centered. She said, you know, Trisha, there's one thing I've noticed. One thing I've learned after everything I've been through is that life doesn't have to be so hard. Wow, life doesn't have to be so hard. And the weird thing was, internally, as soon as she said that, after everything that I've heard her that she's been through, I immediately got defensive in my brain. My little ego brain sort of just blabbing away, like, oh really? Oh really, you don't think life has to be that hard? Do you have 3 kids? Do you have to make all these lunches every day? You have 2 businesses to run? Blah, 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 blah. It was just vomiting in my brain. It was awful, and I had to tell myself to shut up. Because this woman just told me her tragic life story, and she is seeing the sun above the clouds. Have you ever heard something from someone, and you had a defensive reaction? Maybe it's someone you love who said it. Do you ever have a defensive reaction that deep down while you're reacting, you're like, oh my gosh, they're so right. Know it? So I had to tell myself to be quiet, and I had to really sit. You know, we are only able to hear the wisdom if we're open to hearing it. That's one thing it's so true, right? So I sat down after we chatted, and I soaked in this idea that life doesn't have to be so hard. And at first I said, why am I so defensive? And then I had this moment of insight, as we often do as we grow and evolve as people. And it was profound for me. Now, this may not speak to you, but this one I've heard from a lot of people has helped them to move forward in a lighter way of life. And the reality for me was that I had been approaching life like it had to be hard. Can anyone relate to that? Do you sometimes make life harder than it needs to be? In some way? So I've been approaching it like it has to be hard, because if I want to be successful, it's going to be a struggle, because I grew up in an entrepreneurial world. We owned music stores, and we manufactured guitars, and when business was good, we were light, and everything was fantastic. When business was bad, we were down, and I felt it in the family. And there were days when I never starved, but there wasn't much of when my mom came home, she's Italian, she doesn't hide her emotions. I could feel the stress. Be careful of the energy that you bring home at the end of the day. And my dad could hide it a little better, but I always knew. So it was up and down, and it was like this roller coaster, and I was told, Trisha, you can achieve anything. As my tagline is, yes, you can. But, flip side of that coin, you're going to have to struggle. And you are going to have to sacrifice to be successful. So that was how I approached life, because it was going to be kind of hard. So to have someone tell me that it doesn't have to be hard was a big insight for me. So I kind of got all excited about this insight. I was like, oh my gosh, like, the running theme, the song in my brain was that it had to be hard, but as that changed, how I interpreted things changed, how I reacted changed. I went home that night, I had 2 kids at the time, and I walk in the door, and they're all over me, and I'm like, hey kids, yeah, hey. I'm like, honey, Dom. My husband's name is Dom, just so you know. I'm like, Dom, I was at this conference today, and I had this woman talk to me about the most tragic, horrible, life-changing, crazy things that happened in her life. And then she said something that was really interesting to me. She said, that doesn't have to be so hard. And I was like, what? Life doesn't have to be so hard? And I really sat in it, soaked in it, and it became really motivational. I was like, you know what? Life doesn't have to be so hard, but guess what? I think it's possible, just maybe, that I make things harder than they need to be. What do you think? It must be hard to be married to me. I can do that, right? And he's just like, maybe? What do you say to that? So life doesn't have to be so hard. Today, you work in numbers. You work in the world that I just would run. I run from because it scares me, numbers. Watch all of you, it's amazing. Today, I want you to focus in the next 45 minutes on one number, and that is 1%. See, we live in a really all or nothing kind of world. How do we make things harder in our lives? In some ways, it's by all or nothing. How many of you have been on a diet? And you're like, I'm going to do this Sunday night and Monday morning. I am good to go. I've been shopping. I am going to do this. And then on Wednesday, you go for a client lunch, and they're like, would you like a glass of wine, or whatever it is? And you're like, well, okay. And then you're like, what's your next thought? Screw it. Back on Monday. Anyone done that? Yes? A few? If you haven't, come talk to me, because I really want to know your secrets. So we're like this all or nothing world. And I think this gets in our way. We often self-sabotage that way. So your challenge for the next 45 minutes is to focus on 1% better. Because when you only focus on 1%, that can make a big difference. When you're focusing on working with a client and helping them to have a better connection with you, focus on 1% at a time. It's a mindset that actually is very freeing. When you're working with your team members, you give them some goals to help them achieve 1% betterment. Because it's doable, and you gain confidence and creates momentum. So for the next 45 minutes, I know numbers are important in your life, but for the next 45 minutes, 1%. And I invite you to play along 1% more than you normally would in the next 45 minutes. How many of you are like, oh my God, I love audience interaction? Okay, I still like 1 or 2 hands go up, right? But in many ways, true engagement is just being able to play along. 1% more than you normally would. Can I get that from you? 1%? You can do that, right? Plus, I have chocolate. I have chocolate. Well, is that just important to me? Maybe. Okay. Okay, so let's play along. In order for you to really receive some new ideas, we need to think new ways. And we need to be open to these new ideas because our brains are wired for habitual reaction. That's why we get up every day. We typically do the same things. We get annoyed and kind of cranky when it doesn't go the way that it's supposed to. Yes, right? So in the same with our team members, you want to help them to get opened up to new ideas as well. So this is an activity that you have to trust the process. You have to have some faith that I have an idea of what's going to help you to open up. So if you want to open up to new ideas, you have to get your brain primed for it. So it's very simple and it's totally painless. It won't take long at all. But what you're going to do, everyone's looking at me like, I don't know. 1%. That's all you need to do more. So what you're going to do is you're going to partner up with someone at your table. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Go 6 or you can go in 3s. And for 15 seconds, 15 seconds of your life, who can do almost anything for 15 seconds? Right? I don't know why I keep doing that to myself, but for 15 seconds, you're going to have a conversation with your partner about the best date you have ever been on. But you're going to have this conversation, and this is the part that's priming your brain for new ideas, in a completely made up language. It's called gibberish. Don't use your other language, you know how to speak, I know. So play along, 1% more than you normally would. Is it uncomfortable? A little bit, but it also could be fun if you approach it that way. It's priming your brain. So you're gonna partner up. I'm gonna get my phone. So 15 seconds, we're gonna talk about the best date you've ever had in gibberish, and go. They didn't like it. And afterwards, I got this person who came up to me and he said, you know what, that was ridiculous. Why in the world would I talk to a complete stranger about the best date I ever had? I was like, you did use a made-up language, right? I was like, yes. It's like, you're hope you enjoyed that PhD. Anyways, okay, so 1%. So let's carry on. That was kind of fun, right? A little bit. I'm really into visuals, so you're gonna see some weird things on the screen. So I think it's more fun when we're in visuals. Yes? Yes. Meet the cattle egret bird. What I love about this bird is it hangs out with mammals. Really partners up. Hangs out on top of them and eats all their little like bugs on their skin. And they actually make a lot of noise if there's any predators coming for the cow. I mean, isn't that a beautiful relationship? And in gratitude, if you want to call it that, the cow will dig up some of the dirt and get some of the bugs for the birds. I think it's beautiful, right? You gotta look to nature for all kinds of inspiration. May I introduce the geese? Geeses, gooses, geeses. So what I love about them, we all know they fly in a V. But did you know that because they fly in a V, they actually go 71% farther than they would if they weren't? That's really profound, isn't it? That's a big distance change. Also, I learned that the back geese are the ones that honk to totally motivate the front geese. Only in nature would that be allowed. How many of you honkers at work? In the back. I'm so annoying, that sound. Another thing I learned about the geese is that when one gets sick and it falls out of formation and goes to the ground, 2 other geese will follow it and will stay with that goose until it's recovered or passed away. It's a death theme I got going on here, don't I? And then they'll rejoin another bee, or I don't know what happens after that. But I thought that was really, really beautiful. Then there's humans. Mammals. How we go through life, we got lots of stuff going on. We're herd animals, we really stick together in some ways. Humans are amazingly beautiful, complicated things, right? Yes? Can you imagine if your professor, when you were in school, I think this actually would be helpful, they came up to you and said, listen, you're going to go into an industry that impacts lives, you're going to be, doing things that really make a difference, you're going to be managing money, you're going to develop your skills, you have lots of skills to develop. But I got to tell you, the number one thing you're really going to have to deal with is the people. The people get to you. Yes, people, relationships, one of the biggest challenges. But we all start off pretty innocent and beautiful. How many of you have kids or grandkids, nieces or nephews, right? Don't you love the innocence in their minds? They're so sweet, and it's all about them. They're just discovering and learning and growing, and they have no evilness. I'm not saying that people are evil, but we grow up to be our own-minded people, and it can sometimes get a little complicated. The most important thing in our lives, though, across the board, no matter what industry, no matter who you are, for human beings, is relationships. coaching or bring me into a company because they have issues, guaranteed 100% every single time, we always end up working on relationships. So for the next little bit, that's the arena we're going to play in, so relationships. And how do we use relationships to help have ourselves to have a better, deeply satisfying life experience, and of course for those that we work with as well. Relationships matter. I have worksheets on your page, on your tables. I know some people are like, worksheets, bleh. Some people are like, worksheets, yay! It just helps to guide the conversation, so please feel free to fill them out. The one thing that I would like you to fill out, there's a box there that says, what are the 3 people or things that bring deep connection and meaning to your life? So just take a moment, because this is going to guide what you're thinking about for the next 40 minutes. Write down the 3 most important things or people that bring you everyday meaning in your life. You can write down coffee. Just take a minute or 2 to share amongst the people at your table the 3 most important things, if you're comfortable to share, that bring meaning into your life, just to see what everyone else is happening in their lives. Just take a minute to do that amongst your table. leaders in our work, in our lives, in our industry, is to be mentors, is to help care more, is to help them be the best version of themselves as a whole person. And that has immeasurable ROI. It really does. It takes extra time and effort, but it's so much more satisfying to the people who are receiving that kind of care, and also for you when you're giving it. But it's a bit of a mindset shift, but taking care of the whole person. So what are we talking about? That's the strategies around that. Because the work experience, when I go into companies, the number one thing people say to me when they're thinking of leaving that company, which is very expensive to any company, right? People leave, that's expensive, especially when there's so many relationships involved. The number one thing I hear from people behind closed doors when I interview staff is that they're leaving because they don't feel that they're appreciated enough or that people care. I had one leader in a company say he was going to leave, because we do these one-on-one private interviews, because his immediate boss, so his leader, him, didn't know his children's names. And he thought, I've been here for 15 years. He doesn't know my kids' names. So the level to which you care creates success. That's what I focus on. Everybody wants to feel the connection at work and at home. They want to feel appreciated, which is consistent feedback. Anyone work with the younger generation? Feedback is the language of love. Right, that one does. So if you're working with anyone, millennials and whatnot, it's feedback that they crave the most, more than money. Recognition is different because recognition is actually systemized ways of recognizing people. So in your companies, you may have, you make so much, or you have this, or been there for that long. This is really important stuff, but it does not replace ongoing regular appreciation. And finally, communication. And letting people be in the know. People just want to be a part of something. And that's really important for yourself and your own families, and of course professionally as well. I've developed a process called the LEAD system. The LEAD system is about leading into your organization, and whether you're leading up or leading down. So at any level, I know everyone here is at different stages of their careers and lives, but we can all lead. It stands for learn, evolve, adapt, and develop. Learn, evolve, adapt, and develop. The first half of the LEAD process is all about you. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's it. Learning and evolving. We're always growing, we're always learning, not just about our industry, but go beyond. Have meetings with people outside your industry. That keeps you fresh, keeps you relevant, keeps you connected, and it just actually feels good too sometimes. So learning and evolving is changing with our goals, is being able to adjust our sales, especially in industries that are changing all the time. Adapt and develop, now that is about the people you work with, the people you care for, adapting to what they need. One of the biggest challenges is that often we want us. I want me and other people. Can you relate to that? So stop expecting you in other people. Your work ethic, your perspective. It's very freeing when you do that, actually. Because how many people have ever been disappointed by someone? Oh, we can have so many fun conversations about that, right? We get disappointed often because we want us in other people. So whether it's with clients or the people you work with, when you release that and you know that people need other things. For instance, some people, I had one leader just recently tell me that she's very frustrated with her team. She works in insurance because they don't have the work ethic she does. And while there are differences in generations in their mindset around work ethic, I have learned they all want to succeed. So adapting to how they define their work ethic and what really motivates them is very important. And the development side is the care part. This is where we say, I internally care so much genuinely about you as a whole person that what can I do to help you be successful? That is the question that needs to be asked. Not what you need to do to be successful. What can I do to help you be successful? And when we wrap our mind around that kind of leadership, people change. They begin to do things you didn't think they could do because now you believe in them in a way that represents their whole person. When you know their goals are not just related to numbers, but also to their relationships. Maybe they're just starting a family. Now you guys know all this because you have a step above some other industries, because you work with humans, and you help navigate those transitions. I was talking to a lot of you about, really, in some cases, how many of you feel like a psychotherapist? Heard that earlier, right? You said that earlier, right? Yeah, psychotherapist. So caring is the fuel that you put into the car of leading. So if you can imagine you're on buses aren't sexy. Minivans aren't sexy. What can we call it? We want it bigger than a sedan. Okay, I like the limo idea. Okay, yeah. So you have a limo, you're driving it, and this is you leading. You're saying, everyone, come into the limo with your team and your clients. Join me on this journey. The fuel to drive that limo is caring. Is that connection, appreciation, recognition, and communication as well. And this all contributes to a deeply satisfying life experience. How's that sound? Does that sound good so far? You can work with this? Yes? Yes, yes? Okay, good. There's a problem. Sometimes, with all our best intentions, culture gets in our way. We have a very deeply entrenched grind mindset in our culture. And it's getting in the way of our deeply satisfying life experience. And there are 4 forces that really play on everyone. No matter where you are in your career, they're there. And if you don't feel they're really affecting you, I guarantee they're affecting those you work with. So I want you to imagine that behind every single person in this room, I like vision stuff, you know? Is that there's 4 stormtroopers. I know it's silly, but they represent the force, right? So literally behind you, I see 4 stormtroopers. So weird, so cool. Like they're everywhere. When I look around, just visually play along. 1%. Look around and see all the stormtroopers. Look at the person across from you and be like, there is 4 freaking stormtroopers behind you. Doing that? You imagining it? She's like, oh, Trisha. No, imagine it because it's more fun. So we have these 4 forces on all of us in different levels depending where we are in our life experience. I call this the grind game because when I work with people, this is what they talk about. So if you work with people, this is what's on their mind. And this is how you can help support them in living a deeply satisfied life experience so they work harder, they're more productive, and they're just happier. Nothing worse than someone coming into the office who's not very happy. Any unhappy people? Have you ever experienced an unhappy person? They're so much fun. So we want to help them feel connected, appreciated, recognized, and communicated with. So here you go, here's a grind game. Busy, balance, stress, and success. Has busyness, balance, stress, and success ever impacted your life experience? Let's hear a big hand up if it has. Has it in some level, in some way? So we can agree that this is something we all face in some way. So today I want to offer you, because you did the gibberish game, your mind is like trying for new thoughts and ideas, some perspective changes, some mindset tweaks to help you to go from the grind mindset to the growth mindset. And to also help the people you work with to do the same. So let's talk busy. Oh, busy is so esteemed. You meet people on the street, how often does this conversation happen? How you doing? Oh, I'm good, busy, good. Oh, good, you're busy, good, busy, yes? Right? It's like if you're not busy, you're not doing anything, and that just doesn't make sense. So we kind of get over this after a while in our lives, but for many of us, busyness is still it's a bit of an infection. I would love to meet someone on the street and be able to say something like, they ask me how I'm doing, I'll be like, oh, I'm good, yeah, you know. I actually got to work out 5 times this week. It was great, about an hour and a half. I prepped all my meals on Saturday night and the rest of the week, because, you know, I eat healthy all the time. And I've been getting about 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. I'm feeling really good. Well, how would you react to that? Right, yeah. I'm just gonna walk away now. I'm gonna go drink some wine with somebody. So this is what happens. What is this? They are cute. They're baby ducks. They are ducks, and what are they doing? They are in a... I do not have ducks. I don't have a row. I have squirrels, and my squirrels are at a rave. Who has squirrels at a rave in this room? Anyone? Right? Oh my gosh, 4 kids, we have 2 businesses. This is my world, and I became resentful of it. I was struggling. Life was harder than it needed to be. So I was like, I don't want my squirrels at a rave. I want this. And often this is what your clients want. They want clarity. They want a clear path. They want life of relationships. We think about the case, and Elise and Tam, and how complicated those relationships are, and how you as professionals have the wonderful, beautiful experience of helping to navigate those. Right? Yes. So relationships really do make things more complicated. So people think they want this, but that's not reality. What they actually have is this. And the more we embrace it and we support it, the better it actually is. I actually really, really enjoy my raves with squirrels. That's my daily life, and that's okay, because it's ebb and flow and things change all the time. So helping people be comfortable with their crazy, chaotic lifestyle helps them have permission to be aware of it and to consciously choose if they want to share it. And we can do this professionally as well with people that we work with. So helping people to get out of the rave with the squirrels is sometimes helping them just to navigate it. Just helpful. But what happens is with this busyness, this constant expectation of ourselves and others that others have of us, we get into this system of a busy burnout. Anyone ever felt burnt out? Yeah? Busy burnout. And it costs a lot of money. And it costs a lot of time and emotion. And it doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve our organizations, and it certainly doesn't serve our clients. And often when we get to this busy burnout stage, how it costs so much is we begin to take up slack time because we need to mentally check out. And for many of us, we do that with social media. How many of you are on Facebook? Anyone on Facebook or Instagram? A few of you? And if you're not, people below you are younger than you are. But what I do like about Facebook is some interesting things like, too old for Snapchat, too young for Lifeler. The things that make you smile, right? So this is like mental candy, and I think it's okay. I don't think there's anything actually wrong with it until we're doing it without consciousness. So we're just going on there to escape versus, I'm going to spend 15 or 20 minutes on there just to hang out. How about stop doing this to your pictures? Maybe we should ask him to join us. He looks cannelloni. Oh, that one is so good. I think it's super cute, though. I love the expectations of perfection in our culture. I think it's funny to make fun of it. How many of you ever nailed it like that? Just goes to show on all these social media platforms, it is highlight reels. You've probably heard this conversation. It needs to be talked about a little bit more because it truly is impacting people in how they expect that their life experience should be. And when we have an expectation of perfection and a do-it-all mindset, we really set ourselves up for failure and the lack of satisfaction. And when we feel less satisfied, we're less productive, or we feel less motivated or inspired. We don't want that in our organizations. We want empowerment, we want inspiration, we want innovation. So just be aware that some of this is the forces that people are experiencing, and to help them to navigate that through your own wisdom, your mentorship, and your support and understanding. So I bring all of this up again because team members are experiencing this, and we want to help them support them through it. I mean, we live in a completely connected culture. Like, look at those people. They're all there. How many people go to bus stops, or you're at a restaurant waiting, and everyone's just on their phones? And this is a reality. I don't think we're going to get away from it. We just have to be conscious of it. That's the big thing, right? So we're connected, but we're deeply disconnected. So my question for you, as professionals in your organizations, and leaders, many of you, is where are you putting your time and energy? And this is a question you can ask your team members. Where are you putting your time and energy? Because where you put your time and energy, when you focus on grows. Are you putting it into the clients? Are you putting it into processes to make things better? Are you putting it into each other? And that's what's really important, is the relationships. I'll always come back to the relationships. And the level of care that you do that with. And here, I wanted the busy bypass. So on your sheet, there is another little box that says busy bypass, the second one. So at your table, collectively come up with one idea where you can bypass this busy. So this means intentional time and energy being put into relationships. What can you do at work, in your organization, so you can connect with the people you work with, because relationships equal deeply satisfying experiences and connection. So it could be a luncheon, and it has to be something that's not just about growing business. It's purely focused on connecting. So maybe in your group come up with 1 or 2 ideas that would work for you to create a busy bypass and intentional time to connect. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. inspires your own ideas. So thank you for sharing at this table. The thought was, bring people out for coffee or a lunch and just ask them questions about themselves. About them, right? Yeah. Just genuine, caring, and curious questions. And this is a real big, important thing. That's great language. This is a really big, important thing. leader, but he was just asking me about my goals with the company. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you ask about their lives. What drives them? What's going on for them? You know, maybe one employee's dog had one of those like ringy things around his neck. It was really traumatic for her. So the leader asked her a lot of questions about the dog because that's what mattered to that person. And this is not like new brain science stuff. This is just genuine caring. But because we're so connected but disconnected, we forget to intentionally do this kind of stuff. And it does impact the bottom line because people become disconnected. So it was a great idea. So thank you for everyone for sharing it. Did any of you get some good ideas to do in your own office when you get back? Some new ideas and thoughts? Yeah, anybody want to share one that you thought really stood out back there?
Yeah, apparently a Nerf gun is something that's really good to distract and for conversation. So it's a good voice out here.
So you Nerf gun each other?
That's what they do.
Like you have Nerf gun fights, so we just randomly Nerf gun each other? I like it. Okay. Fascinating. So a busy bypass is an engineered, intentional focus of time on someone where you're curious and you're genuinely caring about them. That creates a connection, understanding, respect. It just really helps them to feel like they're part of the process, and part of the team. Let's talk balance. The stormtrooper is behind you all the time, waiting on you. Sometimes they have a gun. Scary things. Balance. The number one question I get from staff members is, how do I balance? I'm feeling unbalanced, which really is code for I feel overwhelmed. I'm not clear on what my expectations are. I don't have the necessary support, or I lack the skill or confidence. That's what code is for balance. Because I find that when people have those elements in place, they feel more balanced. So I'm going to help you to solve life balance right now. Yes, I have the remedy. I know. You're like, wow, who knew? So on your booklet or your little worksheet, there's a balance box. I would like you to take the word balance. It's important you put pen to paper and you write out the word balance right underneath where it says to do that. So in your own writing, write out the word balance in big, bold letters. Everyone done it? Remember, play along. 1%. 1%. Now what you're going to do with that mighty pen of yours is scratch it out. Just physically take the word balance and X it out until the paper almost comes apart. Release the expectation of balance. Balance does not exist. It is a false construction of a thought that is created in our culture. You talk to other people in other parts of the world, they're like, what are you even talking about? And it serves nobody. So if we can get out of the house of balance and move into another house, a completely different construction, we have a different life experience. So for instance, this is my little guy. So he's my fourth, intentional. I have 3 girls, and then I got the baby boy 7 years later. You know, snot in his nose. I don't know what's in his mouth, probably something that fell on the floor 4 days ago. When I was having my kids the first round, I struggled with balance. Like everyone did, it was a big thing, right? Balance, balance, my gosh, balance. Balance, though, it suggests that you have to steal from one side or the other to maintain equilibrium, which is not a reality for anybody. So when I had my fourth and I released the expectation for balance, guess how much more satisfying the experience was? A lot. And we want to help our people that we work with to have that same lifting of experience. So I get to go from being a mom of 4, which is just fun, sometimes not, to, you know, I get to work on stage and pursue my own professional goals. But I'm not doing it in a balanced way. Some days, I'm spending more time working than I am with my family. Some days, I'm more time with my family than I am working. And when I release the expectation that it has to be even, when I moved into the ebb and flow of that experience, wow, that is life-changing. And when we help our team members to do the same by supporting them as a whole person in their life experiences, that means more to them than any money you put in their face. It truly does, especially depending on which season of life they're in. So I don't believe in balance. I believe in balance. I had a lot of energy with that, didn't I? I'm not balancing things. I'm literally balancing from things. So do you see the difference in mindset? It may sound a little cheesy, but I think it's really helpful. At least I say so. I'm a tennis ball, and I'm bouncy, because tennis balls are small and bouncy. So I'm going from one activity to the other, but I'm not resisting it. I'm embracing it, and I'm bouncing. Does that make sense? It's a different mindset. And so what I find is a lot of people come into an office and they're like, oh, it was a busy morning, and they grab a coffee, and okay, it's got 150 emails, and never catch up with the emails. The inbox will never be empty. If it's empty, you're dead. You don't want that. You know, and then they get you to work with their clients, and then somebody has an emotional breakdown over there, but then you need to deal with that, but you gotta go to this client luncheon, and you're just, right? Does that ring a bell? So you're not, when you're going through resisting it because you have all these things to do, the mindset's heavy, but when you're thinking about us bouncing, and that it's an honor to be able to do all these different things in our beautiful world that we live in, it's a totally different mindset. So don't worry about balance. It's ebb and flow, and it's balance. And the seasons of life are so important. We think about Tim and Elise and the season of life that they're in right now. As they get closer to the idea of retirement, you are basically life transition coaches. So what you do for your clients is very important to also do that for your team members. Because understanding where they are in their season of life, you'll then understand what's motivating them and what they need and what would be most helpful for them to be valued and connected as a whole person. Can you please at your table, quickly amongst your team members, share with them, if you feel comfortable, what season of life you're at right now? This kind of everybody. What season of life are you currently experiencing right now? increase connection. So what season of life are you at? What matters to you? People want to be able to express that and feel that they're valued and heard for it. So good job. Give a high five to your neighbor. Say, you're doing a good job. You are rocking this. On the subject of balance.
Oh yeah, the other thing I do is...
You know what you're really good at, Robbie? You are really good at giving. You're like, you know what? I'm going to give you, I have expertise, I can help you, I can support you. You're probably pretty good at supporting and giving to your team members. You go home, you're giving to your family. Give, give, give. But part of balance, and one thing we often struggle with, whether you are a man or a woman, is that of receiving. So can everyone please stand up for just a moment? I know, like we're standing, play along. We've been sitting for a long time. Move it down a little bit. So you're going to, how you guys are curved. Okay, so what you want to do at your table is you want to create a line, okay? Or you want, you know what, because you're curved, there's not much room, just pick a partner. Someone you think, you know what, you got beautiful hands. A is going to now massage your shoulder. So for 15 seconds, can one partner massage your shoulder? We have to give, we also need to receive. So how good are you at receiving? And in what ways could you receive more to make life not so hard? Food for thought. Thinking in new ways. And how can you help your team members to give and receive as well? Okay, let's move on to the third powerful stormtrooper, and that is stress. Who here has ever felt like they were completely stressed out? Yeah, it is a natural human condition. In fact, stress isn't bad. This is how I, by the way, deal with my stress. Stupid coloring with doodle books. That's not my way of de-stressing. No, we're told stress is dangerous. I grew up in a highly stressful environment. I had to do a lot of unconditioning to move past that mindset because it becomes addictive. I know many people who create stress if they don't have stress. Yes, can you relate? Because the adrenaline of stress means, for some people, productivity, or it means moving forward, or that they have to be stressed to feel like they're actually contributing. I don't know what it is, but for many of us, it's possibly you're addicted to stress. Stress for many people can have harmful health effects if it's chronic, overwhelming stress. If it is stress about things you do not have control over, that is not good. We need to release the things we don't have control over. Because 90% of the stuff that we stress about, we actually don't have control over it. You can only do your best, you can only show up, you can only learn as much as you can only support others as much as you can, and the rest of it is going to be what it's going to be. So stress can be hard, but I believe stress is also a form of energy and motivation. And so when you're dealing with a lot of stressed out people at work, because if you're a leader, you're going to be hearing from them, they're going to be in your office. By the way, tip, if you have a chronic crier, at your office, some of us do, keep the Kleenex box outside of your office. Because the time they come in, and the difference of time between you saying, let me go get you a Kleenex, allows them a moment to calm down. Just a little tip for that, because I think that's very helpful. Okay, so let's talk about stress and how we perceive it and how we can support others who are experiencing it. It's real when you're experiencing it because you believe it, right? There was a study of housekeepers. The housekeeping staff was divided by 2, and their BMI, their weight, and their overall health was assessed, and their overall satisfaction with their job was assessed. They were divided into those 2 groups. The first group was told to continue doing what you're doing. You know, you're keeping the rooms clean, good job, go at it for another 30 days. The other group was told, did you know that you are impacting people's lives by how clean you're keeping those rooms? That is affecting their pleasure, their stay. It's making their day when you write them notes. And did you also know that while you're cleaning, you're exercising? They broke down how many calories they will be burning by making a bed or cleaning a bathtub. And they gamified it for them, saying you'll burn this many calories by doing this many rooms. And they were told to go off and work for another 30 days. New information for one group, not new information to the other. 30 days later, guess what? Great podcast. Group 1, no change in job satisfaction, no change in overall health. Group 2, connected, highly engaged, more satisfied in what they're doing because they felt they're purposeful and doing something that makes impact, and they lost weight. Think about next time you're cleaning the house, right? Maybe just a little lunch. It wasn't a regular lunch. I don't feel like it. So the story there is not that they lost weight, is that simply by thinking about doing things differently, or the reason why you're doing it, changes how you experience it, and changes the level of stress. So in what ways can you change how you're thinking about doing things? How can you interpret the stress in a different way? This exercise is something you can use with your clients and your team members, but I want to call on a man that I met last night at the cash bar. That's where you meet all the cool, fun people, because they're going for extra drinks. David, come on up. It's your round of applause for David. So David's from Toronto. What's this? David gave me a little pipe cleaner creature. Thank you. I can't wait to see the rest of them. Okay, David, this is an important exercise because this shows how we can change how we think about things to change our experience. So what is something you want to do? What is a goal? I want to, a very measurable, specific statement.
I downsized my parents, moved everything out of...
David, I don't want the whole life story.
No.
Got the story.
Yeah, so all my stuff that was at my parents' house is now in my spare bedroom, which is now a storage room, which is driving me crazy. I just want to clean it up.
Okay, so you want to clean it, you need measurable and specific, so you know.
It's usable, and I'm not ashamed of having someone do it. It's that.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
It was like,
order.
I was like saying, I watched Hoarders Buried Alive last night.
Yeah.
Can I see, you have to show me pictures after. Okay, so.
My stuff is cool, I'm not.
It's not garbage, it's cool stuff. Say all Hoarders. So I want to, can we say
Clean out that room.
clean out which room?
Well, the guest room.
Okay, I want to clean out the guest room by?
Christmas. Well, a week before Christmas.
Okay. I knew you were going to do that. So I want to clean out the guest room by December 18th. Measurable, specific, good, right? Okay, that's good. So say one more time, one statement.
I want to clean out the guest room by December 18th.
That is good, right? That's a great goal. I like it. And we are all cheering you on, Mr. Hoarder, buried alive. Now we're going to change one word from want to get to. Okay? So say the same sentence to I get to.
I get to clean out the guest room by December 18th.
Do you see how that's a different energy?
Yeah.
You wanted to, but now you get
I
to.
get to.
Wow, you are a lucky man. We're going to up the ante one more time to I choose to. You ready? Say it like you mean it.
I choose to clean out the guest room by December 18th.
Choose to. And that is personal responsibility. That's a whole different level of privilege, right? Now you're going to say it one more time with the most gusto and, what's the word, commitment you can. when he finishes his statement, you're all to get up and give him a standing ovation. Are you ready? Okay, so here we go.
I choose to clean out the guest room by December 18th.
Give me a round of applause, it's awesome. And you get some chocolate. So one round of applause for David. Thank you, David. So when a client is saying to you, oh, I want to do this, you can go back and say, once they decided what they want to do, so you choose. You choose to ... And that's a completely different way of framing it, and it feels different. Same with your team member. Someone says, I want to do this, so you choose to have this goal. Does that make sense? I hope that's a really useful tool for you, because I know it certainly has been when you're working with our employees. Thanks again, David. It was fun. Let's talk success as we get down to our last stormtrooper. What's our time? Oh my gosh, let's get over here. How many of you have a pair of jeans in your closet that do not fit anymore? David, I'm not surprised. So you got a pair of clothing that doesn't fit anymore. Why do you keep it in your closet? Because you just might get into it again, right? And it's a reminder of what you once were. Back in the day, at that time in my life, seasons of life, right? So we get stuck in our ideas of what success is. And it can actually hold us back. I want to share with you 3 vultures. 5 minutes? Oh, really? Oh, okay. I'm learning about it. Through this. The 3 vultures that really impact are a way of being, pursuing success. And so everyone you work with faces these 3 vultures. And I'm going to give you a way to reframe it that can be very powerful. So how about this one? We all think this. Who am I to think I can? Who am I to think I can do that? So when you start thinking that, or you hear it from someone, client or team member, make sure you switch that framework around to this. Who am I to think I can't? Just say that. Who are you to think you can't do that? You have the skills, you have the support, you have the tools, however you want to frame it. That's a powerful change. The second one is, can I actually do that? So the first one is like self-confidence. This one is skill-based. Can I actually do that? How many of you ever got a new client or a new job or whatever, and you're like, oh, shit. Can't believe I actually got that. Can I do it, right? And people around us at different levels of their career are always facing this. And to reframe that self-sabotage, that vulture, it is I can learn. So it's not confidence in what you know, it's confidence in what you can actually learn. And when we empower people with that, man, they can move mountains. It's pretty cool. And the third vulture that holds you back in your success is what will others think. So this is social-based. The first is confidence, the second is skill, and the third is social-based. What will other people think? Anyone ever had that? Mm-hmm. When you hear that, you're going to turn it around to this. Who will I inspire? Who will I inspire by simply doing what it is that I want to take forward with? And you can help your clients with that as well. So these 3 vultures can get in the way of our success. They can get us stuck in old goals. And remember, part of the lead process is really to learn, evolve, adapt, and develop. And that is very powerful because now you're focusing on yourself, and then of course you're focusing on other people. I want to leave you with one story of a woman who I think is the powerful example of what it means to truly lead and to move forward with care. Her name is Miriatu. She was from a village in Sierra Leone, and rebels invaded her village when she was a 13-year-old girl. To show their might, they pillaged the village, they did all kinds of destruction. The children, including herself, ran into the forest to hide, but they found the children. And to show their might of these rebels, they cut off both her hands. So, leaving a child, can you imagine this? I can. She ran to the next village for help. And when she got there, they bandaged her up and she survived. I remember reading this story on a Thanksgiving Day in Reader's Digest when my kids were around me playing and screaming. I just finished yelling at them. Gratitude changes everything, right? She found out while she was getting her medical care, she was actually pregnant. for the little boy from a rape that she endured earlier. I mean, this is one of those stories. She actually was able to carry that child. She gave birth to a little baby boy, and she begged for money and food to help support her while he was an infant, because she knew she needed to eat, to nurse. She was just surviving. But that little baby boy didn't have enough for her and passed away in hers. This story hit so hard to me because I was nursing my second at the time. So this woman named Mariatu went through more than we can imagine in an entire lifetime for most of us. She was later adopted. She lives in Toronto now. And she works for the UN, and she travels around as a conspirator of hope for other people to rise above their challenges and to make impact. And I have to say, if Mariatu can do it, I think everyone in this room, we can all do it as well in our industries, as professionals, in our families, and of course with those that we help impact too. So Mariatu to me is a powerful example that the grind is actually a privilege. So your growth game, your grind game, busy, stress, success, and balance, those are actually your growth game. They're supporting you move forward. So it's a mindset tweak that can have a big impact. My financial planner, after my second child, told me in an email, unsolicited email, that he was super proud of me because I had made a little bit extra money in my business that year, even though I was a busy mom, and he went on about how he was really proud of me, and that email changed how I perceived myself. So the impact we have by leading and caring is immeasurable. So always remember as you move forward in your profession as individuals and team members to lead with care. Thank you for having me.